What is going on, nation? It is your boy C-Ton, bringing you a recap of the 6th season of the PWC. We were the coach of the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, as you guys already know. So we're basically just going to go over my team, the mons I used, what I felt about them, that kind of stuff, and then go over like the other teams and how I feel like they kind of mesh together and all that kind of jazz. So we'll get into my team to start off with. I had a rain hail team. Initially, instead of Magnezone, I had Jolteon. And instead of Alolan Muck, I had Kabutops. I felt like at that point my team was kind of one-dimensional though, so I added Muck because my team didn't have any sort of wall, and Magnezone provided support for Lanoon in late game. So anyway, going into our team, Mega Swampert was very strong. It primarily filled the role of wall breaker for late game Tornadus Therian, which was really beneficial. Getting up the rain with Politoed was really nice. I kind of made it one-dimensional because I pretty much brought Damprock bulky each week, where Politoed can do a whole lot more on rain builds. It can run Specs, Scarf, all that kind of jazz. But I decided that slowing the pace of rain was really beneficial, in my opinion, because the downside of 4-turn rain is you're pretty much forced to bring in your rain sweepers right away. Whereas if you have 7-turn rain, you can play around it, and I could work Silvally more into the plan there to get up parting shot momentum. Slow parting shots were really big on my team. Additionally, the slow volt switch was really big from Magnezone. Yeah, Swampert was really, really strong. I didn't get to show it off too much. I ran sub a couple times, power up punch, but for the most part it was pretty standard, not standard. I think I had 1 week where I ran bulky, like super bulky support. I think I did that against Carlos to get up rocks. Anyway, moving on. Kyurem Black was pretty underwhelming in my opinion, but I understand full-fledged that's because of the team that I have. My team isn't meant to have a Kyurem Black on it. I was initially going to take Garchomp that Jacob ended up getting, but he took that in with the 3rd overall pick, and by the time it got back to me, I didn't know Garchomp was taken, and I was at work, and I had like 20 notifications on Discord basically telling me to make my pick, so I just threw Kyurem Black out there because, Kyurem Black was fun, but I didn't take into consideration that the rest of my team was super weak to rocks already, and at the time, I didn't even plan on drafting Hazard Control, and if I did, it was only going to be 1 mon. But Kyurem's a really cool mon. Again, I think the substitute set on Kyurem is probably the best because when Kyurem comes in, teams usually have like some sort of pseudo counter to it, and then you can get up your sub for free on whatever they try to switch into. I ran sub Hone Claws I think twice, Scarf a fair amount. I ran a bunch of Z Crystals, which is why I didn't end up trading it, because Shiny and I were really close to making the Garchomp for Kyurem Black trade, which would have helped us both, but we both couldn't use Z Crystals on either of those mons then. But Kyurem has fantastic coverage, can be support, pretty much going to take advantage of its insane attack stats though. I think it's 170 and 120. 1 second, I can look that up. Kyurem Black, Sub-Zero Slammer, and yeah, 120. Instead of Kyurem, at the deadline, I should have either traded it for Garchomp or traded it for something like Buzzwole. I don't think Clefable was drafted. That could have been good. What else would be good on my team? Tapu Bulu could have been good. There were other mods that I saw that I should have dropped it for. Mew was available for a little bit. I should have grabbed that. Heatran would have been stupid. Dragonite was available, but I don't think Dragonite fit the team. Azu could have been really cool with rain boosted Aqua Jets. That would have been really cool. But anyway, moral of the story, I should have dropped Kieran Black and picked up something else. Next up is Silvally, which I thought was very much worth it. It provided a lot of pressure on my opponents with the parting shot. I think it dropped to tier 3, which I totally understand. But with drafting Rain, you can see that you draft a lot of the same typing. And additionally, I drafted Rain and Hail, so that doubles up on Ice types as well. So I wanted to make sure I had versatility with a bunch of different typings with Silvally. Most common ones were Fairy and Ghost. Because obvious reasons. I don't have any Ghosts on my team. I also don't have any reliable defensive Fairies. I have Ninetales A, but that thing is pretty frail for the most part and doesn't really last too long. It pretty much is just Aurora Veil Suicide. At least the way I use it. I used Nasty Plot a couple times, but we'll get to that later. But I thought Silvally was very much worth it in tier 3 or tier 2, and now it's going to be tier 3. So I think someone who drafts that next season is going to be very happy, because it is slow momentum, it's very bulky, and it's super customizable, and the opponent doesn't even know what typing it is until it actually hits the field, which is really cool. I already touched on Politoed. Pretty much was just here to keep Rain on the field. But Lowland Muck was absolutely huge. I was running Pursuit on so many different mons, and Alolan Muck is one of the best Pursuit trappers in the format, in my opinion, with its natural bulk, great abilities in Gluttony and Poison Touch, and then naturally high attack stat. Muck A was absolutely phenomenal. I might end up franchising this, that or Kyurem if I do franchise something, because I want to use Kyurem to its fullest potential at some point. I know I obviously was short on this season, but I think it went pretty okay. I just know I can use it a lot better, and it can be used a lot better. Yeah, anyway, going back to Muck, its biggest issue was another reason why I ended up grabbing Magnezone, is that it doesn't really touch steel types, especially when I'm a Rain team, because its only coverage to hit it is Fire Blast, and with the Rain, obviously that's not going to be doing too much. On top of that, it has a pretty average special attack stat as it is. But Alolan Muck was absolutely phenomenal. It has priority in Shadow Sneak, which is really nice. Pursuit Trapping, knockoff ability, which my team didn't previously have, aside from Tornadus Therian. But I was saving my physical Tornadus Therian for semifinals or finals. Unfortunately, we didn't make it that far, so RIP. But yeah, I would definitely... Sorry, going back to our mons, I wouldn't recommend drafting Rain in my opinion. It gets really boring really quickly. Kieran Black, I don't know if I would recommend drafting it because I didn't really have that good of an experience with it because of my team build. Silvally, I would definitely recommend drafting. Politoed. Politoed was, I feel, the better of the two weather setters because it's much harder to take out than Pelipper. I feel like Pelipper as a Rain setter goes down very easily. I know it has better offensive pressure with U-Turn and Hurricane, but I felt like Politoed's natural bulk really set it apart from Pelipper. Muck A, 100% draft, absolutely phenomenal. Assault Vest user, I saw 50% berries with Gluttony, absolutely huge. Next up we have Hitmontop, which was pretty much just here for Intimidate and Rapid Spin. If it's tier 4, I'd recommend it. If it's tier 3, I wouldn't. Pretty average, nothing super crazy. Assault Vest was pretty nice on this thing because it has access to Rapid Spin, Sucker Punch to hit the ghost types that come in, additionally Pursuit. But yeah, nothing too crazy about Hitmontop. It was pretty much just here to make it seem like I had some sort of hazard control. when I really didn't, aside from Taunt, Tornado's Theory, and this Rapid Spin. Next up, we had Lanoon, which was our Tier 5 pick, and we showed the league why it shouldn't be Tier 5. I think it ended up getting like 7 or 8 kills, which is really good for a Tier 5 mon. But yeah, I mean, the plan was Bear take Lanoon with Rain and Hail, and we ended up getting it. It just, we didn't think everything through once we were at work and got kind of spammed into a pick. Because looking at the team next to us, the next pick was, I think it was Mega Sizzle, but Zygarde 50 would have filled this role so perfectly. But alas, we didn't get that because we didn't, turn our brains on. So anyway, moving past Lanoon, it did the same thing every single week, except for the 1 week where I brought Trickaroo, or Switcheroo, and I ended up getting an Assault Vest on my support Lanoon. So yeah, that didn't work out too well. Don't try to reinvent the wheel with Lanoon, just bring the belly drum Gluttony Extreme Speed. Once I was eliminated from the playoffs, I told the league about the Chelan Berry, and now I'm telling everyone else about the Chelan Berry as well. It reduces the normal type damage that's TV'd out to from normal type attacks. So if you go up against the Snorlax or a Lanoon, Chelan Berry could save your life. Ninetales A and Beartic both kind of fell into the I'm having a hard time bringing you because my team is super weak to rocks already category. Every time I brought Ninetales, it did a really good job, aside from the time where it counter-swept me. Even after I prepped myself not to get counter-swept by it, I'm still a little bit upset about that. I can't believe I let myself do that. Anyway, Beartic would have been absolutely huge if I just stuck Terrain. I should have just stuck Terrain and used my Tier 3 picks, or my Tier 3 pick a little bit differently. Grab something like a Delmise in order to spin block and give me a nice grass type. But I didn't do that as well, so no point in going over that. Would recommend Ninetales Alolan on any draft because of the Aurora Veil support. It's a tremendous lead. Additionally, it gets access to Nasty Plot, and Freeze Dry Moonblast is such a good combination. Yeah, Beartic, fantastic Pokemon. Unfortunately, just on the wrong team. I couldn't show you what anyone had for a well-played Beartic because I couldn't play the Beartic well. R.I.P. Next up, we have Magnezone, which I regret because I should have dropped it for Magneton because the speed is much better in my opinion. It additionally allows you to have an Eviolite user, which is really nice. But yeah, I mean, Magnezone did exactly what I needed it to. It came to most of the weeks after I picked it up. And actually, after I picked up Magnezone and Alolan Muck, my team was pretty much the exact same thing every week after that. But going into the last mon, I think if it's a tiered system, I'd grab Magneton over Magnezone because you save points and they function relatively the same. But if you need that extra power, obviously stick with Zone. But I think Ton overall would have been a better fit for my team anyway. Lastly, the near MVP, Tornado's Theory, absolute legend, one of my favorite Pokemon in the format in general. The only pure flying type, just spamming Hurricanes, Sludge Bombs, Focus Blasts, was one of the best ways of keeping hazards off my field with Fast Taunt. Additionally, forcing switches with its pressure and then getting U-turns out on switches. That's one thing my team did really, really well. We kept momentum on our side of the field at pretty much all times, which was really beneficial. But yeah, I mean, that's our team. Definitely, if you haven't used Tornado's Theory in a draft league format, I'd highly recommend trying it. It's not for everyone. I had it, I think, season 4 or season 3. I had it in one other season. I did really well with it. The next season, my friend Destin picked it up. He didn't do well with it. No one drafted it the season after. Now I have it again, and once again, it was almost the MVP. And speaking of, we're going to go over the kill sheet thing real quick. We had Shiny's kill leader was 12 with Garchomp. I'm not sure how updated these are. I kind of stopped updating them as well. Kyle's was 8 with Vikavolt. He only got 4 kills with Excadrill. I'm assuming that isn't right, but it's also Kyle, so who knows. Shiny's or Storms is not up to date. I had 15 with Tornadus Therian, 9 with Kyurem, 6 with Lanoon. Those were my leaders. Torn still in second here. And then we're going to run into the Mamo. That is the only mon that outkilled Tornadus with 22. 22 of his 47 kills. That's insane. I also don't believe this. Registeel ended up with 9 kills because no one knew how to kill it. That's funny. Anyway, going into the teams. While I'm going over this, I'll also talk about the battle that I had with the person. But yeah, Joel is the Philadelphia Phantheas. A good friend of mine. His team was absolutely busted, and he really struggled with it, which is a little bit unfortunate. Also unfortunate that he picked up Amon just because he was playing me, and then he kind of stopped trying towards the end of the season. He has Mega Arrow, which naturally is super fast and will be able to outspeed most of your opponent's team while running Adamant, which is very nice. Autotomized Steela, Sub-Seed, Steela, Kyurem, another absolute threat. Gardevoir, another huge threat. Ludicolo is a huge threat to my team, which is the mon that he picked up just from mine. He had Comfey there originally. Electabuzz, very good tier 5 mon. I personally would prefer Electivire, but his choice. Lando T, absolutely horrifying with Rock Polish Sword Stance and Z Crystals. Slacking is kind of a wasted slot on his team. Girder, phenomenal tier 5 mon. And then he had Mew, but dropped it for Latios. He said he didn't like Mew, but I feel like Mew is one of the better mons in the format because of how versatile it is. But I mean, to each his own. That was the battle that he brought Trace Gardevoir and Swiss Swim Ludicolo. Girder ended up putting in a ton of work against me. I think we won that game 2-0, and that was really early in the season. One of the more fun battles I had to play, actually. Next up we have Destin, coach the mobile Bewares, I think he said it is. I think I called him mobile the last time. But his team ended up winning the finals, so congrats to Destin. He didn't like Jirachi, which makes me really upset, because Jirachi is one of my favorite mons to use in the format, because similar to Mew, it has a lot of different versatility to it. Obviously the Scarf set is probably the best. But yeah, Jirachi was absolutely huge. He ended up grabbing, I think I just moved the screen. He ended up grabbing our Gengar at suggestion, because tier 2 Gengar shouldn't be in tier 2, which I think they changed for next season. I think it's tier 1. He franchised tier 3 Tangrowth, which is my favorite mon, and he did it, I think, despite me, because he's a bastard. No, I'm just playing. Tangrowth is one of my favorite mons to use. He had Galvantula for web support with his absolutely threatening team. I think Delphox was there just to have a fire type. I don't think he really wanted it. Maybe he did. I guess he likes the Magician ability now that I'm thinking about it, because he ran a couple sets to take advantage of that. Donphan, he really enjoyed. Primeape, I think it's really nice given the web support on his team because of Defiant on Force Defogs and having Gengar as a spin blocker. I don't think Primeape came too much, but it was nice to keep in mind in the back of your head when prepping. Tapu Fini, great hazard control. Donphan, great hazard control. And then just a bunch of monsters that set up with Haxorus, Mega Gyarados. Actually, and Tapu Fini can also set up and win. So yeah, his team, the first time we played him, we caught him off guard with Magic Coat Magnezone, which was very big for us. And the second time we played him, he got webs up, and that was in the quarterfinals when he had his Gyarados setting up, and I got a little bit impatient and went for a Scald Burn instead of hazing his Gyarados until he eventually killed me. But he played phenomenally with his team, and it's very, very strong. And that's why he ended up winning finals. I'm not sure who he's going to franchise next season because he gets a free franchise for winning. But yeah, congrats to Destin on winning PWC Season 6. It's good to know that you went out to the champion. Next up, we had Jacob, Shiny Spam, coach of the Saginaw Spritsies. I love his team because it's a lot of my favorite mons. Garchomp, Infernape are two of my favorite tier 1s. Bronzong is one of my favorite tier 4s. Tentacruel is great for spinning, and Toxic Spikes Serena is underrated in my opinion. It's not that good, but it gives a lot of support to your team. He picked up Pseudo Sand with his free agent moves, which I don't necessarily agree with. I think he could have used those a little bit differently. But yeah, overall his team has tremendous speed tiers and gets Intimidate pressure from Mega Manectric, and just overall is really, really solid. Has Wish Path support to help out his Bronzong, which is also one of his favorite mons. I don't know if I actually uploaded this battle. It was last week of the season, and I had a lot going on. He brought Toxic Spikes on his Tentacruel, and that's all you need to know, because I didn't bring Muck or Hazard Control. So that was pretty much game at that point. Kyurem had a really good matchup, but I didn't really have much time with him because he had Rocks and Toxic Spikes on the field, so Kyurem had like 4 turns. But next up we had Storm, coach of the San Diego Sneasels, I believe it is, who is franchising Manaphy. He counterswept me with Ditto because I forgot my own prep when he was clicking Destiny Bond with his Chlorgeist. I don't really like his team that much, personally. I like the Wish Path support. I like Tracheon as a Pokemon, but like Manaphy Zard Y doesn't really make sense to me. They're both really, really great Pokemon, but I feel like they counter against each other so harshly. I don't think he needs Heracross on this team when he has Tracheon. Exploud was a tremendous have, but having Exploud and Noivern, they both fill the exact same roles. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think he finished 4-7. Yeah, he finished 4-7 -7. So not a bad season, not a great season. I'm sorry, that was disgusting. Next up, we have, Savage Sniper, coach of the Assail Sharpedos. I really like his team on paper, and as we kind of found out as the season went on paper, it doesn't necessarily translate to in battle. It was a little bit too passive with the likes of Mega Venusaur, Scarm, Sylveon, and Slowking. Again, on paper, absolutely fantastic, but like without the right mindset and play style, that team isn't going to play well. And Sniper didn't really have that kind of play style. Last season, like as some of you may remember, I didn't really upload, but he went rampant with Tapu Bulu on like an offensive build. And this isn't like an offensive build, which Sniper really shined with. We played him pretty early in the season, got a little lucky, pulled our way out, and that was the game. But next up we have Gio, coach of the Florida Flagons. Hopefully he changes his name for next season, but his team on paper is absolutely fantastic. On record, he finished 3rd to worst behind Joel and Sniper. I forgot to mention that Joel is going to be relegated to the D-League, and Seth is no longer with us in the league. Close finish towards the end, but unfortunately, a couple really big losses hindered him in the long run. But anyway, back to Kyle's team. On paper, almost perfect in my opinion. Mega Sceptile Milotic is so annoying to want to deal with because grass types and electric types are the only thing to take out Milotic, and he has a Mega Sceptile which is immune, well, it gets boosted from electric attacks and is quad resistant of grass attacks. Additionally, pairing Mega Sceptile with Chogekiss, phenomenal. And then he has Mindless Sand with Excadrill and T-Tar, which in pretty much every other league I was in guaranteed spot in playoffs. Pairing that with a severely underrated Tier 5 Miltank. He had a really cool Trick Room mode with Meloetta, Meloetta, Emboar, Vikavolt. Ended up dropping Meloetta for didnt for some reason. But yeah, he had a really, really cool team. Just didn't really do anything with it, unfortunately. But I guess that's the way the news goes. My team, we already went over that. Total garbage. Who the fuck would draft this kind of team? Next up, we have Carlos, coach of the Barcelona Garchomps. Carlos ended up making it to finals, where he got absolutely body bagged by Destin. I'm just kidding, buddy. Carlos's team is really, really cool. Rocking like some Mega Scizor Zygarde combo, which makes you hesitant to run Hidden Powers because you don't know which to prep more for, because they're both huge threats. Additionally, Seismitoad adding on the Quadri weakness, and Virizion, so you're kind of limited on which Hidden Power you want to run when you're overloaded with quad weaks. But additionally to that, he has fast Greninja, fast Alolan Raichu under Tapu Koko's Electric Terrain, Marowak as a reliable Stealth Rocker and Spin Blocker, Tauros, which is one of the best Tier 5 Mons, Virizion, which is one of the best Tier 4 Mons, Archeops, which is very, very strong in its role as lead Taunt, lead Rocks, lead Rock Endeavor, that kind of stuff. Its ability is such a shame because without Defeatist, Archeops would be one of the best mons in Pokemon. But unfortunately, his ability hinders him. But yeah, Carlos's team is really, really scary because Zygarde forces so many switch-ins. Sub-Zygarde is so strong. Alolan Raichu under Electric Terrain is really, really scary. Yeah, I mean, just looking at it was... Actually, this team was kind of easy for my team to prep for because of Lanoon, because I had Magnezone at that point, and his only way to stop it was Scizor or Avalog, but he hates Avalog. But yeah, his team is absolutely phenomenal and really tough to prep against. His free agent transactions really helped him out a lot. Anyway, next up we have Luna, coach of the Brookhaven Bonnets, I believe it is. Yes, Brookhaven Bonnets. His team is also really interesting, and I really like it a lot. It's Mega Heracross, Nihilego, Diggersby, Smeargle, Fortress, Blaziken, Articuno, Hoopa, Rotom, Hydreigon, and Whimsicott. He dropped Empoleon for Smeargle, which I personally disagree with. He also dropped Zygarde 10 for Diggersby, which I 100% agree with. The only issue with Luna's team is once you figured out his only real trick to keeping himself in the games was Tailwind Whimsicott, it kind of became a little bit easier to prep for. But with that being said, it was really annoying prepping for Fortress Nihilego. With Fortress's defense and Nihilego special defense, he had to switch into pretty much everything. Additionally, Rotom Wash with its mixed defenses is absolutely phenomenal. Then he had great wall breakers like Heracross, Hydreigon, Hoopa, like really, really strong mons to break into that. Moving on to Dave. Dave has the same team he has every season, and he did the same thing he does every season. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all there is. The only thing of note is that he has Mega Latios instead of Mega Venusaur or Mega Scizor, and that is because they were both taken before. But yeah, that's that. Seth left, no point in talking about him. And Justin has the most busted team in the history of teams. Like Mega Latios, Magearna, both of which are banned for next season now. Mamoswine kind of fell through the cracks when prepping because of the likes of Intimidate Arcanine, Bulky Shaman. Like, there were so many things to consider when prepping for Justin's team that you can't cover them all. And most teams just kind of forgot about Mamoswine or just didn't know how to play around Mamoswine. But yeah, I mean, his team is absolutely horrifying. Amazing Trick Room mode with Kofag, Magearna, and sorry, I blanked. Mamo and Arcanine can also run under that, especially when you have to prep for such a fast team as well, because he has Combuskin and version A with Parting Shot support, Crobat to keep momentum. It's just really, really strong team. And he started off 0-4, which I was kind of like, okay, maybe we shouldn't be bringing up D-League players, especially when his team was that good. And then he finished 7-0. So, like, thank you for bringing the D-League hopes back up. And unfortunately, you didn't make playoffs because of the bye week issues. Seth ended up leaving with 3 weeks left. His last 3 games were against Shiny, Destin, and Dave. And Destin got a bye, which, as you can see, was the reason he got into playoffs. Dave got a bye, which is the reason he ended up getting the first round bye. And Shiny got a bye, which gave him a first round, or got the forfeit win. They got forfeit wins. And then Shiny got the first round bye from that as well, as you can see by the records on the bottom. But in a nutshell, that was the PWC. I mean, we can go into the playoff bracket. As you can see, Dustin ended up beating Carlos. Check out their channels to see that match. Really, really interesting battle. I don't want to spoil too much. I obviously spoiled the winner earlier, so my bad on that. If I had to pick a favorite draft, it would probably be Joel, then Kyle, then Carlos, then Destin. I'm just going to keep Justin's out of this because I don't even know if I'd be able to handle that kind of power. That's going to be it for PWC Season 6. I might upload some stuff in the meantime, but PWC Season 7 should be about 2 to 3 weeks away. So until next time, guys, peace.